So there we have it, guys. Soaked in vinegar for 24 hours, and then rinsed in a soft plastic scrub brush to finish it off. Now there are a few little pieces in the corners where the vinegar didn't soak. That could be scrubbed off, and you can just use a plastic scrubby, like a Brillo pad, only plastic. You can use a wire brush. That will make it easier and a little faster. You can also use an actual Brillo pad if you wanted to. I prefer to use plastic because if you use metal, it will scratch your plastic trays. And I have found that once they have those plastic scouring scars on them, those scars tend to hold the filth longer and more difficult to get out than if you can not scratch it up. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Grace Hollow Rabbitry. I'm PJ, and today is Saturday. And truthfully, I don't know what's in store for today. Daddy Jay's home. So hopefully I got a couple of small projects in mind I hope to do. But I thought I'd start out the day and give you a short little tour. I'm standing on my back porch looking out and coming down the steps. The first thing we see is, of course, my small little garden. And we'll talk about that for a minute. Here at the end, this is a work in progress. I'm carrying out this walkway, and I still need to finish up this corner. And I have rocks sitting there to finish that out. I just haven't done it yet. But at the end, there's my strawberry patch. Let's turn around, maybe slowly. There is our storm shelter. And then here is the first garden bed, and this year I have tomatoes and peppers here. And I think that's what I grew in this bed last year too. But I put a heap of rabbit manure in here every year, twice a year, so I don't think I have to worry about planting same crops too many times. It should be fine. And then the second garden bed is the squash and zucchini this year. And I have some garlic chives that's been there, I don't know, ever since I put in that garden bed, I guess. Or Daddy J and Junior put that one in, perhaps, I don't remember, but since it's been in. And then down at the end, we had a volunteer, oh, let me go show you. We had the volunteer potato plant here, which I dug up last week. We also have that volunteer sunflower. Sunflower seeds get in the rabbit poop from the feed when they get scratched out. And sometimes it grows oat grass or sunflowers, and that's okay. But there's the okra. When I pulled up the potatoes, I put in the okra. So the okra is doing well. It's already grown. We also have a couple of weeds I need to pull today. Oh, look, there's my first squash. It's ready to be picked. Nice. We've been getting zucchini, but that's the first squash. I'll have to hunt and see if I have more. Oh, uh-oh, I let a zucchini get away from me. Look at that big bad boy. Looks like we're going to have some zucchini spaghetti, because that's too big for anything else. There's another zucchini in there. That's the right size. That's the good eating size there. And then back behind us is my bed of gladiolas. I got a late planting, so I don't know if they'll bloom this year, but they are up. And I need to pull the grass out again. And then I'm working on another garden bed here. I hope to work on it a little more today. And then out from the garden, there's the creek. We have the drainage ditch here, and then the War Eagle Creek goes behind us. And here is where I'm attempting to put in a bird sanctuary. And while we're here, let's talk about the bird feeder for a minute. First of all, I found some bird food on sale, so I bought it. It's different than what I had been using. And I put it in Wednesday evening, and I tell you what, either they don't like it or my little critter has been back, because first thing Thursday morning I came out here to check at it, and something had dumped all the food out onto the ground. And so I let it set empty for a couple days, and so the birds have been eating the feed off the ground. When I was, oh, look what I just seen. Look at this. This is the hibiscus, and we have a little bud there. Looks like we might have our first red bloom since I've planted it. How nice is that? Wonderful. I'm excited about that. Woohoo! So Wednesday when we were in Fayetteville, I said before I wanted a squirrel baffle, and our Walmart here in Huntsville did not have one. So when I was in Fayetteville, I stopped at their big super center, and they, no, I stopped at Tractor Supply. They had the squirrel baffles, but to my dismay, they were built for round post, about a 1 to 2 inch round post. It would not fit my 4-inch square post. So I'm not sure what to do about that. So I'm rethinking it and trying. Those things were $30. I can't believe they were as expensive as they were. But it didn't matter because it wasn't going to work for my square post. So I have to rethink a solution. I guess just be satisfied with the zip ties every couple of days. I don't know. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Grace Hollow Rabbitry. I'm PJ. Today is Sunday, and I made unexpected trip today. Well, I knew the trip was coming up, I just didn't know what it would be today. I drove to Mountain View to deliver the Silver Fox Hop Forward bunnies to their new owner, the youth, Miss Kylie. And on the way, I picked up the buck from Sherry Lou, donated by Run Rabbit Run Rabbitry. So let me show you these tremendous specimens. Alright, so yeah, it's been raining off and on the whole trip. And this is the buck that I picked up from a Sherry Lou. He's a rather nice buck. I really like him. I love his head. And he's got a pretty nice coat of fur too. A little heavy on the silvering, but that's okay. Here is my doe. I just tattooed her ear this morning, so the numbing is probably wearing off, so she's shaking her head. Yeah, this is the young doe. Now she's a couple months younger than the buck, but I think these two are going to complement each other. She's a little light on silvering, or anyway, I think she's a pretty nice one. He's got some maturing to do. But I don't think this is a very promising young doe. I think probably the best in the litter, and so I think Miss Kylie is going to be very pleased with her. Good evening, YouTube, and everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome to Grace Hollow Rabbitry. I'm PJ, and you know, I've tried to do this video a couple of times and I keep getting distracted, so I'm gonna try to make it through this video today. Right now my camera is fogging up, so this is not gonna help. Alright, let's see how long that lasts. A tour. I have not done, I don't know if I've ever done a complete tour of Grace Hollow. It has rained off and on all day yesterday, and pretty much the same thing today, so not the best time to give a tour when everything's wet and muddy, but here we go. Welcome to Grace Hollow Rabbitry. I am standing on my back porch. There are my steps, and of course our air conditioner's there, and I have some herbs and some grass and some weeds growing in a little flower pot there, or a big flower pot. And then they have a bed of gladiolus that may or may not bloom this year. My guess is no. And then there's my little garden. This year I have squash and zucchini planted here. I have peppers. Now I have banana peppers, I have jalapenos, and I have some mini sweet peppers. And then I have some slicing tomatoes and some cherry tomatoes and Cherokee purple tomatoes planted in that row. And then right there is my strawberry bed. I am not going to tell you what my plans are because it's a whole different video. We'll talk about that on another time. So as I come off the back porch, I walk straight into my vegetable garden. And alright, so we go on around the garden and we look out here. We used to have a dog run out there. That dog is no longer here, and we tore down the run. I am wanting to build a new chicken coop and get a new flock of birds, and I'm thinking seriously about putting them right there. Now up against that, under the trees there, I don't know, there's a real short rock. I don't want to call it a rock wall, but there's a trail of rock all along the edge of that. I have planted sunflower seeds that Clanton Rabbitry sent me. So far they've not sprouted, so I don't know, maybe they won't. We've had plenty of rain for it, it should. And then we have all this open space. This is the dog play yard. This is the PJ play yard. And then you keep going towards the, by the way, let's back up. This corner here is the southeast corner of my property. And that's not totally accurate. My property actually goes out into the middle of the creek. Let's walk out there. As we do, we're going to walk past what will eventually be my bird sanctuary. And by the way, look at my hibiscus. Look at all those mushrooms. Is anyone a mushroom expert? I've got a couple kinds of mushrooms going in. We got these that's not on a pedestal, and then we got a bunch of those that are on pedestals. So the hibiscus bloom looks pretty. Unfortunately, it is wet and saggy and droopy. I just transplanted these things last week. Has it been 2 weeks? Maybe it's been a week and a half. Anyway, recently, so I'm surprised that it bloomed. But I'm happy about it. And then there's our rock wall. I'm thinking I might put a seating area out here at some point. I don't know. And then out here is the creek and our property line when they surveyed it. It used to be midway through the creek, but you know, the creek has expanded all through here since we've been here. So our property line actually goes to right about here, about 3/4 of that creek. So, yeah. And we share the creek bank with our forest neighbors back there. Yeah. And there's the lovely view of the creek. In the evening, at the end of the day, I love sitting out here and listening to the creek. I hope the camera is picking up the sounds. I'm going to be quiet just for a minute and let you listen. Yeah, I would love for the swing to be out here. This is my favorite place to sit. I do my praying and my meditating sitting right out here. Let me back up. I showed you this hickory tree earlier in a previous video. And here we are. We're at the corner of the property. And I've always wanted to put a either like a bistro set or one of the outdoor porch patio gliders, something like that, sitting here in a sitting area, just so I can sit and pray. Now, a lot of times I will sit on the ground, or I'll just stand up against a tree. And I have to tell you, anymore, I'm afraid to get too close to that edge because it's getting ready to tumble down. But I just love coming out here and listening to the creek and the birds. It's one of the most peaceful places for me. And back to the bird sanctuary. That's looking at the back of the mobile home where we live. This, I'm not sure what that structure is. My son started it and he never finished it, and now he's moved back to Missouri. So I'm probably going to tear that down sometime soon. Probably repurpose that lumber into a new chicken coop. And then currently out there, you see the bunny port. You can see it because of the blue base. It's the bunny port there. And then we have our chicken coops and some fence. Right now, unused fence. And then back in that corner is that wood barn, which will be tore down. Behind the chicken coops and behind the bunny port are the air coops for the rabbits. And then this space back here used to be where I had the traditional garden. Now, I did have some raised beds here, and then the traditional garden was back there. We're actually going to turn that into an orchard. We have a peach tree growing there. It's, I think maybe 2 years old, so it's growing well. And then that little mess of weeds, really, it's not been maintained. Daddy J had some blackberry bushes in there. Those were his doing, and yeah, so somewhere in there Daddy J has some blackberry bushes. I don't know. I don't mess with that because that looks like it probably has a lot of snakes. And then here are some raised beds, and I used to have strawberries in this front part, and then I had some herbs back there. I moved the herbs up closer to the house, and so it's been overtaken. And the strawberries I moved up closer to the house. My hope is to clean this out, and I would kind of like to put rose bushes here. But I don't know, roses are very expensive. Unless someone has some very pretty rose bushes that they want to send me a clipping, I'd be happy to take a clipping. I was looking at a couple of rose bushes that were on sale, half price. half price. They were $12.50 to $17.50. And I thought, no, I'm not, I can't afford to pay that kind of price for a rose bush. So I'm hoping to have some friends that has roses that would not mind sharing a clipping. And I'm more interested in the rose bushes, not the rose vines. I like the shrub type, the bush. And then if we go on, again, this is where the traditional garden used to be. And hopefully we're going to turn this into an orchard. We do have a peach tree growing. I'd like to put some grapes out here. I'd like to have a pear tree, and I'd like to have an apple tree. And yeah, so there's the first wooden coop. There's the wood barn, and then behind that is the wood, the air coop that Daddy J built. The roof has fallen in the last couple months, and so that's where the silver fox used to be. They've all been moved out, and those cages are empty. And so those will be coming down, and I don't know if I'm going to put a new roof on that and continue to use it, or just tear it down. I haven't decided yet. This wood barn currently still has my March babies in there that's growing out. I'm getting ready to take another look at those, and we'll be making our calls and choosing a fall show team and figure out which ones are good enough to sell. And then we have a couple of volunteer sunflowers again. The one in the back has a head, but I think it might be done. So it's shriveling up. Now this one, it's almost done. And look at this. Now I never grew sunflowers for fun. And again, these were volunteers. But look at that. This has 3 heads on it. This was the main big head. And then we have that one. Oh, there's 4. There's a little head here. I didn't see that one. Oh, that one's a new one. It's still fresh and looking pretty. And then we have another big one back here. So now these are volunteers. Looks like we have another head that's trying to grow there. There. And there. Wow, I didn't know sunflowers did that. That's interesting. Now this is a volunteer, the black oil sunflower seeds that I feed the rabbits. Some of those fall out and hit the ground. This is where the carport used to be, and it kept flooding, so we moved it. And so, yeah, you can see that's where the cages used to be. And sunflowers fell, and they sprouted, and they grew flowers. So, and then I got some black-eyed Susans. They grew up wild, and they were pretty, so I didn't have the heart to cut them down. So I just mowed grass around it. And then there's our, used to be the goat shed. We tore it down, and this is all untreated lumber that the goat shed was built out of. We got it from the sawmill up there, and so it is safe for burning. And so we've been burning that just a little at a time, which is probably what we're going to do with the old rabbit barn too, the wood barn. It is all untreated lumber bought at the sawmill, and so it's safe to burn. So that's probably what we'll do with it, tear it down and burn it. There is some wire in there we have to pull out. And yeah, so that's the backyard. There's our little burn barrel. I wished I had an actual burn can, but we had this gave to us. It was sitting around the yard, and it works. It suits our purpose. There's the peach tree. I think it actually has some peaches on it. This is the first year it's had peaches. Now there's not many, but there are some. There we go. There's a peach. There's another peach. There's another peach. So we have at least 3 peaches on this tree. 4. I bet if I keep looking, I'll keep finding them. Right, and there's the chickens. We have, out of all those Orpingtons I had, we got these February, 2015? Yeah, it was the February after we moved here. So these ladies are over 4 years old. They're like 4.5 years old. And we had some barred rocks, and we had these Orpingtons, and I forget what all we had. And we have 4 Orpingtons left. We started out with 4 buff Orpingtons, and we still have 3. We had 2 white Orpingtons, and we have her. So yeah, we still have those 4. And then 2 years ago I picked up some of these little, I'm not sure what they were, Browning something. Browning is all I can remember. And I picked up, I don't know, seems like 5 or 6 of those. I think it was 4 of the red ones like that, the Browning, whatever they are, and then 2 Australorps. And the raccoons got in last summer and got that flock. Pearl, this is Pearl, the little red hen. Pearl's the only one left out of that flock. That's my Orpington flock, and that's all I have left. And these ladies, you know, they're old. They're 4.5 years old. We only get a few eggs, maybe 4 or 5 eggs a week at best out of these 4. It's time for them to move on, and it's time for a fresh flock. But before I do, I want to do something different with the chicken. Alright, as we walk around the wood shed, we have another peach tree. And you know, we haven't been able to get peaches off this tree since we moved here, because every year it has bloomed and then froze. And this year, boy, look at it. It is just loaded with peaches. We're going to have peaches coming out of our ears. And then back behind there, we have another peach tree. And this one's, it's been damaged. It's also underneath these big trees, so it doesn't get as much sun, and it just doesn't do us well. So that one probably will come down at some point. And then back here is my neighbor's mule pen. And I don't see the mules today. A lot of times they were up here. You can see where they eat most of their food. All the rest of that's all grown up. They're usually out here. I don't know if they have names or not. But Ladybug, when we first moved here, she named them right away Rhythm and Poet. And so that's what we call them, Rhythm and Poet. They're really loving mules. They're just not out today, but they're down there somewhere. And then here we are on the back side of the bunny port. We are now on the northwest side of the property. And there's the bunny port. And then back behind those trees is the mobile home. And then you can see my van. Let's walk across the front yard. Oh, you know, I was at my friends David and Kathleen's house yesterday, and we were talking about crepe myrtle, and I was told that these things were crepe myrtle, but they don't look like his. And this one here is not even in bloom yet. Looks like it's getting ready to. Let's see. I guess the leaves do look the same. But the flowers don't look the same to me. So is this thing a crepe myrtle? Like I said, this one's not in bloom yet. I usually see these things bloom in August, and it probably needs some trimming up and some cutting, so it would do better. I see some dead limbs in there that probably needs to come out. And then that's what the other one looks like. That one's just like this one, only it's starting to bloom. Now, how do you like my lovely front yard? Yeah, this is a wreck. This used to look really nice till these guys moved in. For some reason, they like to bring machinery in rainstorms. I've showed video of it before. These guys keep digging and digging and digging and digging and just making a mess. And yeah, I mean, you know, all the floods after them digging has washed their sand and their rock and their gravel all into our yard, and has basically destroyed the front yard. And then I tell you what I want to do. I am not kidding you. It has happened at least 3 times. These guys, I don't know what they do. They'll back out of their drive, and I don't know if they can't see, if they lose control of the vehicle, or if they just flat can't drive. I don't know. I'm not in the vehicle with them. I don't understand what they're doing. I don't know how it happens. They'll back off of that driveway, and they'll back right into my yard, right there. And one time it was the church bus. It wasn't even the neighbors, it was the church bus. Pulled up, and then they backed out and backed right off into my yard. I watched the guy one time in his big truck when he backed out. He couldn't get back up the ditch, obviously. It's a big ditch. And so he just stuck it in reverse and punched the gas and almost hit my van. He come within like 18 inches of hitting my van. So I want to find someone. It's probably going to cost me a lot of money. I don't know. Now, one thing about Arkansas is we have rock. We have rock of every shape, size, color, whatever. I want to get some big boulders. I want to dig a ditch right through here so that all that water will drain. We have a culvert right there behind that creeping myrtle. There's a culvert there, but it's we got to clean it out. It's full of rock, sand, and gravel right now. And so I want to dig that ditch back to help the drainage. And right here where their driveway is across from our yard, I want to put some 6-foot boulders. I want some big boulders. And I want to put them right in front of that ditch. And we'll see how many times they back off into my ditch again after that. That'd be funny to see. And then there's the front of the mobile home. And right beside that we have a shed. We just moved this in. This was supposed to be my guest house, but it sat here for several months and nothing was done to it. And I started putting my rabbit stuff in there. And so right now I have a whole lot of rabbit storage in there. And then right there is our garden shed. It's got a bunch of garden tools and, you know, other whatnot stuff in that one. And then in the back, when we had goats, there's a little lean-to in the back. That's where we stored our hay, but right now it's nothing. And then there's our well house. There's our propane tank. And then that brings us right back to the garden again. And our back porch. Oh, here's something. Here's a real nice shrub. I need to trim it up again. I trimmed it last. These things grow. I trimmed it, but it needs to be trimmed again. Does anyone know what that is? I love the leaves on this thing. Beautiful little shrub. Beautiful shrub. I love that thing. And it doesn't bloom. It's just the green shrub, green and yellow. Beautiful. I love it. Just needs to be trimmed. And the little volunteer tree out. Alright, so that brings us back to the back door and the garden again. So there you have it. There is the full tour of Grace Hollow Rabbitry. So while we're just looking out, I'm gonna oh, by the way, there's the pear tree. I think I showed that to you once before. It has these little hard pears. They're not very good to eat. They're real grainy. They're small, they're hard, and they're grainy. I call them cooking pears. I don't know what it is. Does anybody know what kind of pear that is? Like I said, they're not very tasty for eating. But you can make canned pears out of them, and they're good for that. And then we got several nut trees. We got a hickory tree over there. We do not have a pecan tree. I don't know how we have all these nuts and no pecan. I wished we did. Anyway, so I did not do a lot of filming on Sunday. No, I didn't. I generally don't film on Sunday. Now, I have been trying to make an exception this month, in the month of July, because of the random facts. But yesterday I was very busy. I had to go over to Sherry Lou's and pick up the silver fox buck. Now, Sherry Lou lives a couple hours from me. Now, she did meet me out on the highway, so I didn't have to go all the way to her house, but I think I went all but the last 20 minutes or so as she came out to the highway, and I picked up the buck, and then I drove to Mountain View, which is just at 3-hour drive from here, to deliver those pair of silver fox to the youth that won the Hop Forward. And so I spent most of my day doing that. On Friday, I had gone all the way to, I don't even remember where I went now, Paragould. I went all the way over to Paragould, Arkansas, which was just at 5 hours. I'm exhausted. I really was. I was just exhausted. And so I didn't film a whole lot. It was late when I got home. I was tired. I wanted to get chores done. And I said, you know what? It's Sunday. I'm not going to push it. I'm just going to do the chores and go to bed. And I did. I went to bed very early yesterday. Another thing that happened yesterday, and here's an update. Daddy J started his new shift. And they changed it. Instead of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., it is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Did I say that right? 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is what his new shift is. And he also took over lead man, and so a slightly upgrade in position also. So yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. See, look out there. Oh, can the camera see that? Now when I zoom in during filming, my camera clicks. I'm going to zoom in and show you what I'm looking at. There we go. There we go. You see that boulder right there? That's one of the boulders I need up there in my front yard. That's a nice big one. Well, guys, it's starting to sprinkle on me. And I'm sure you've probably had your eyes full of the creek and ready to get on with this. So today's random fact is my curly hair. And yeah, you know, here, let me turn the camera around. Here I am. Yes, these curls are all natural. This is not perm. The last time I had a perm, oh my goodness, at least 15 years ago, probably more like 20. It's been a long time. And even then, the last few perms that I had was done in an attempt to straighten my hair, which worked for about 2 days until my curls just went right back. There's no controlling these curls. They are all natural, and they are very much mine. Just like me, they're stubborn, and they're going to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and no one's going to tell them otherwise. They belong to me. Yeah, all natural. So is frizz. Yeah, when it rains or humidity, it frizzes. Yeah, yeah, see? I just done my hair this morning, but it's all frizzy now. Nothing I can do about it. Nothing. I do use some Aussie gel, and that does tend to help sometimes on regular humidity days, but the summer showers and summer humidity, nah, it don't help. Well, it helps, but it doesn't control it. So yeah, that's today's random fact is my hair is all natural curls. I do nothing. I wash it and go. That's it. I wash my hair, I gel it, and I let it dry naturally. It parts itself naturally. I don't even part my hair. That's just where it falls. I've tried to part it. I've tried to do other things with it. No, this is what it does. So I gave up years ago. Now I used to spend an hour, hour and a half a day fixing my hair, taming my curls, and I gave up. They win. I can't beat them. They're tougher. They're meaner. So now I spend about 30 seconds. I get out of the shower, I brush it, I gel it, and then I walk away. That's it. So yeah, all natural. Thanks for watching, and until we speak again, God bless.